everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Lines on a Page. I am your poor man's Bob Ross. It's not Bryce. If you are wanting to know where you can find me, just like and follow through right here at this link, which is linktree.com, Price Artworks, and you can find all my links there. So today is going to be a little bit interesting because we're going to be drawing the queen who should have been the mother of dragons, Daenerys Targaryen. I think the last time that I drew Daenerys was probably about 2016, 2017. And I saw a couple people drawing her because I think around that time period, the final season of Game of Thrones was coming out, and people were just busting out artwork as to who, speculation at the time of who was going to end up being the heir on the Iron Throne. And spoiler alert, it's Bran. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping right now. So Monday nights at 7 is going to be Lines on the Page with yours truly. On Tuesdays is our live unboxing. On Thursdays is Shop Talk with the two most awesome people on the face of the planet, owner of Haven Comics, Josh Olive, and Alan Breedlove. Alan's not the owner. He wishes he could be. And then last but not least is our Drink and Draw, which is a Haven Comics Blurred Syndicate mashup awesomeness with Wyatt Stokes and Jeremy Brown. And we are going to obviously let you know to remember to like and subscribe. There's going to be a lot of awesome things that are going to be pumping into the works within the next couple of months as far as events and other little things here and there. And let's go to our comments section. Hey, Tots, or more accurately, hey, you guys. All right. So for today, and here he is, Josh Olive. Yeah. Justin Butler, greetings, sir. And right here is basically just going to be the materials that I'm going to be using today. And we are going to use a little number. Keep things very simple using everything traditional medium. So that's paper, that's pencils, that's erasers, that's pens. And then to add it all up, we're also going to be adding in markers. So we got a lot of other things going on today. We won't be using traditional dip ink. And double check something real quick. All right. So let's get on to it. And before anyone asks, no, I am not tracing. This is the piece of paper. There's nothing underneath it. The only thing that's underneath it is this thing right here, this thing right here, which is like, it's basically an old school binder that from college that I'm using as a riser. Man. So let's get on to it. And I am going to pop this little baby on. Hopefully you guys can still hear me while I am drawing. And we're going to start off things in terms of figuring out the layout. Now, one of the big things that I was wanting to do, let me go back to this. One of the things that I was really wanting to do with this was not just also have Daenerys Targaryen, but I also wanted to bring in some dragons as well. And as much as I would love to draw full-on adult dragons like how they are in the series, I won't be able to do that, but I am going to be doing smaller baby dragons when you first see them after they've hatched. And I'm also going to be hopefully also using the same dress around that time period of when those things are around. So let's put this thing right here and let's get the show on the road. So first things first is start with our skeleton area, and we're going to do our mirror right here, which something that we talked about within um, something that we talked about with the first episode is basically understanding the XY axis of a human face. So think of it like this: if you've got your Y situation right here, you're going to have three different X axes to work off of. First one is going to be, if you can see it, that's not going to work. So we're going to use the tip of this pen right here. Okay, so the first X axis is going to be top of the ear, going towards the spot between the eyebrow and the eye. Second one is going to be the bottom of the ear, which is also going to dictate where the bottom of the nose is. And then the last one is going to be right here as far as the mouth is concerned. So I'm going to go back to this. 1, 2, 3, boom, we have a face. All right. And so I was watching the first episode of House of the Dragon. I did not get a chance to finish watching it because I was doing a bunch of cleaning around the house because Labor Days weekends coming up, and just trying to get stuff situated for family to come in. So let's okay. We're gonna see shoulders here. Got bicep leading down to there. We'll get back to that. And then we're gonna have her hand outstretched. Yeah, finger, forefinger, middle finger with the ring, and let's see, it's back. Let's basically have a layout of this thing going on. So we're going to try and get everything together about this. And if you're wondering how I'm kind of figuring out in terms of, um, you know, the purpose of anatomy and trying to make things dynamic within a static area, it is something that trips up even the most seasoned pro. You probably just don't hear about it often from the seasoned pro because they've learned not to say anything about it. But the most humble ones will definitely mention if something kind of trips them up, especially if you're dealing with uh, 2 to 3 point perspective, or really forced foreshortening. Like, okay, so perfect example. If you're looking at the camera right now, you see that my arm is like super duper, in the frame, and the rest of me is just kind of dwarfed right behind it. Perfect example of forced perspective right there. But it's not so much the case with this, what I'm doing right here. I'm basically just drawing her with her hand outstretched out, and hopefully one of the dragons is going to be kind of about to land on the hands, kind of Disney princess kind of thing going on. We'll see about that. But and if I remember correctly, the dress that she had on, which I'm going to do a little disclaimer here. As far as specific characters from specific shows, especially if we're dealing with HBO type shows, um, if your child is wanting to learn how to draw these characters, please put on Safe Search in your web browser before they look up things. Now we got that disclaimer out of the way. Let's get back to it. All right. So zoom back in. And we're going to say the dragon. Dragon number one is going to be right here. And it's hand. Words is hard. So neck, head, and let's see here. We're going to have this thing going on. Now, the interesting thing is that the dragons in Game of Thrones aren't your typical type dragons, as far as just like mythology or fantasy related or anything like that. They are more acutely looked at or talked about as wyverns. Wyverns, I believe. And it's interesting though because like the difference between like your typical dragon and a wyvern is that a wyvern is kind of basically built like a bat. It's got um, its areas that you think are going to be its front legs or whatever is actually also part of the wings, and like a bat. And then of course it has its back legs, and of course it can walk on its back legs like a bipedal creature. um, Whereas your typical European style dragons are concerned, tend to have the four legs and the wings as well. And your Oriental style dragons tend to be more kind of snake-like, but with, yeah, I guess, I don't know, somewhere between like a snake and a newt. And let's see. So dragon number one is going to be here. And we're going to say that dragon number two is going to be kind of hidden and perched behind almost kind of like a crow or something. And it's going to and tail is going to be right this way. Hopefully, I won't forget whenever I start doing her hair. And the third one, let's just say it's flying in the back, maybe. And it's going to be like a silhouette thing. Now that we've got that basically kind of laid out, let's look at trying to basically complete the rest of this and we can get to the main section. So, as we stated with our 3-point XY basis situation, uh, let's say eyes here, eyes there. This is going here. The one thing that's always been a struggle is a snap. And of course, I could probably say that's my go-to thing since I tend to express very little emotion sometimes. Okay, not necessarily true, but quickly look at hair reference. Thankfully, her hair has a lot more body and bounce to it compared to Galadriel. So a bit easier and also a bit safe. So let's see here. Jeremy Brana, what are you drawing? I was trying to say what are you drawing and what are you doing at the same time. Words is hard. I am drawing Daenerys Targaryen uh, from Game of Thrones, which should have been in the liner for uh, this episode. If it isn't there, let me know. Almost had a little bit of a snafu because I had scheduled for this thing to get, you know, days in advance for this thing to happen today. And apparently yesterday I got a notification that broadcast is starting in 20 minutes. I'm like, that's not right. So I had to quickly fix that because I didn't want to sabotage the schedule of everything that's going on. Okay, so she has like this really interesting summer dress that has almost kind of X going on. What is Game of Thrones? Well, you see, Game of Thrones is if you have been living under a rock, it's actually a show on HBO that you can stream on HBO Max. And it is also sometimes known as a battle of who gets to the toilet first. Hope you all enjoy my toilet humor right there. Moving on. Okay. What is my HBO Max login? I'll watch it. Last I checked, I thought you had HBO Max, sir. And also, HBO Max does not allow sharing of logins. Uh, they are not like Netflix, and they do not like that. feel a little bit like Daniel Warren Johnson right now. I'm just making a total mess, sketch phase. But one of the things that I like to do when I'm drawing, especially when I'm dealing with stuff like this, is not to rely too heavy, but also train the brain, especially since I have ADHD, to think about what lines are the things that I need to focus on. If I can do just that, everything else should tend to fall. Nose yet again. Fix the part just a bit. There. We'll look at the dragon reference real quick on the tails. Looks like there's a bit of a plan. Now, here comes the interesting part. You're dealing with drawing animals. Structures are, in some ways, the same for a lot of animals, but there's also a lot of differences, especially when we start dealing with style and uh, uh, you know, bone structure, muscle structure, all that stuff. There's going to be differences, and same goes for people as well. And it's got some spiky bits right here and a bit of a dual thing, spike thing on the backside here and other. And back that picture again. So as much as I would like to draw her in the black armor thing that we had in like the first two seasons. Do the dress she's wearing from the season. These things are finally out and about. Continue on fixing some things here, there, and everywhere. Let's see. Now we're going to get to the wings. And like I said, um, the wyvern tends to have a bit more of a bird type structure going on, or bat structure. Fix that arm real quick. And give it a little bit of a background situation. Bring in some mountainous type terrain. And do some quick little things to fix here, there, and everywhere before I start inking and throwing in some colors. Fix real quick. Well, we are. All right. Now, my favorite part, erasing. So, if any of you have watched House of the Dragon yet, if so, let me know down in the chat. Like I stated before, I started watching it and just did not get the chance to finish it. Um, Busy doing housework, but I'm hoping to finish up the first episode. It's more than halfway uh, into it. Let me double check things real quick. And aha, I am missing something. Okay, apparently she has these little arm things, jewelry. Wow, technical terms. To racing. Few more things to erase, and then we're going to be doing something interesting. So generally, I would like to do inks and then color second or grayscale, depending on how we're looking at it. But because sometimes a couple markers can be a little bit something that can definitely catch me off guard sometimes. Using them, I am going to do the grayscale of this coloring first, and then we're going to do inks on top of that. So the inks are going to pop out a bit more against the grayscale. But first, whatever. Here's. All right. Let's see. Anything else going on? Oh, yes. Like I said before at the beginning of the show, remember to like and subscribe if you are liking what you're seeing and want to be notified about more episodes of Lines on the Page. And if you like my artwork and you want to buy some of my stuff physically, Haven Comics, where you can find this thing, my sketchbook, Between the Lines. You can get that, both this cover and also a sketch cover variant that are already there at the store. And it is located at Haven Comics off of Slaughter Road in Madison, Alabama. And then, of course, if you want to follow me on social media, all you have to do is go and get that little link right there, linktree.com, T-Price Artworks. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Now, let's get back to this. All right. So first things first, we got a couple of different grayscale markers that I've got going on right here. So for all of the flesh tone stuff, I'm going to be using warm gray markers, and then I believe for the dress, we're going to be using more cool gray. So it's going to give a little bit of a difference of things going on. But want to basically show values of using color. And, yeah, sure, I can slap the stuff on there and you just call it a day. But that would be kind of cheating just a little bit. And I don't want to do that because I don't like that. It doesn't really serve anything. It feels like you guys are just like wasting your time. So, sorry, quick little thing here and there. All right. And we're going to get back to this. And of course, the big thing is that once the marker is on top of the pencil, I cannot, erase any more pencil. So once it's there, it is there. And as they say, it's all she wrote, whoever she is. All right. We're actually doing pretty good on time today in comparison to the Galadriel. And let's go, kids. All right. Double check some things with my reference. And okay, so real quick. Okay. So we're going to start with the lightest color first. And that is going to be I'm trying to get areas that the eye is going to see first. Shadow. And of course, we're going to go over these areas as well. But I'm starting to think my warm gray marker is about to die on me, and I've just started with it. It would not be a lines on page show without something like this happening. Loving it. All right. So basically, we're dealing with values, we're dealing with light, we're dealing with shadows, we're dealing with uh, taking something 2D and trying to create 3D space out of it. So the areas that I'm really focusing on face is the areas that the hair is going to be covering over, and this little area right here over by the chest. It's just obviously balancing arm. These fingers mostly in shadow. Do that part. For the dragons, however, we'll be doing slightly darker tone. Because in the show, they are quite dark as far as their skin tone is concerned. Scaled tone, or paint a little bit more on this. And I know it looks like I'm just splotching things, but trust me, there is a method to what's going on. Because on top of using black ink for all this, we're also going to be using some white ink, create some extra interesting values and highlights on top of what we're using with the markers. Third and lonely dragon. We're going to put this time. Distance. All right. Marker tips on the wrong side. Okay. that out. Now we're going to go back with the 1-1. Go over. So pretty sure all you guys are hearing are like the squeaks, stuff like that. So terribly sorry that it's just the nature of its markers. All right. I'm going to use slightly darker value on Daenerys. Let's see. So it just says Facebook user. I do not know who you are, so I'm not exactly sure um, if you're watching off of a different Facebook page or whatever. Uh, but yeah, if you could just tell me who you are, that'd be awesome. But yes, what's up? So we're just establishing some shadows here and there. Someone else has chimed in. Justin Butler, hopefully House of the Dragon is good overall. Same here. It's only 2 episodes in as of right now, and I think uh, they're trying to do the same thing like how other shows been doing lately, just doing it episodically instead of just releasing it all at once. Of course, don't quote me on that. Guesstimating on that, but pretty sure that's what's going on. We're also going to be throwing in some of this mid-tone right here in the hair, just to give it some natural life. Oh, again. Yeah, it seems repetitive enough. We're going to go back over with the lightest value. And it's just kind of like sealing it over. All right, now we got that out of the way. We're going to go and focus on the dress and the little armlets things. And we're going to be doing the same thing, creating areas that would be considered as values. Because the only value that does not exist within the world of Game of Thrones are family values. So, pretty big jab towards the show. Oh, the crap. I'm also going to throw some of that just to give it. Because Targaryens basically have this kind of white silver situation. And we're going to do, we're going to use this neutral gray for the wedding. Something different. I like using the chisel side more than I do the brush side on markers. I used to be the other way around, but I started to genuinely enjoy and it seems to be working out for me decently well. I can't really make any complaints about that. Now we're going to be using C3, create some darker sections here. Sections of shadow. Let's see here. Justin Butler keep their families very close. You have you have hit the nail on the head. Oh, all right. And we're going to go back with C1. So the interesting part is that even though I've been putting in all these values with the colors, it still kind of boils down to the fact of do I remember exactly what I did? Uh, so that's always one little snafu. Sticking something. All right, let's see about throwing down some inks. And this is where we separate the wheat and the chaff, the grown-ups from the kid state. Do apologize for being super quiet, but I am trying to concentrate on getting everything squared away. However, there is one thing I will admit as far as what I've seen so far of House of the Dragon. Uh, it is interesting seeing Matt Smith play more of a villain uh, in this TV show compared to some of the roles that he's done uh, as specifically Doctor Who. Yeah, that is my thoughts so far about House of the Dragon. But I have a feeling that he's probably going to be, um, well, it's definitely one of those things where I am. My thought process is that I'm pretty sure he is a villain, has been kind of looked at as a villain so far. So that is really all I can say about it. So one thing that you will never, ever, ever, ever hear me say is starting off a sentence saying uh, pro tip. And the reason I don't ever, ever say it is because one, I am not a professional artist. Um, so I would never mislead anyone believing that I am. Secondly, it's always the people who aren't professional artists that are always trying to share pro tips. And I have been seeing that a lot lately, again, on social media. So it's a little bit um, it's still kind of planted in memory banks. And I'm pretty sure that even if I do get to the point of, as a full what if situation, even if I did uh, get to that point in my life where and looked at or considered as a professional artist in the industry, I still would never, ever, ever say uh, pro tip, but yeah, you're not going to get that whatsoever. Uh, it's one thing to ask questions and share from experience but it's another to mislead people into thinking that you are a professional industry when you're not. Hey guys, we are getting closer and closer to the finish line. And like, I think I stated this in the very first episode, but if I haven't, then I'm going to now. But I like to get these things done, specifically for this show, within an hour. And that's just because it's so much easier to do this than just a full blown drawing of what I normally do. It has a lot more detail and a lot more time that's spent uh, doing what I do. Let's check the chat real quick. Also taking a tiny little water break. He is the only actor from William. Same thing for me as well, at least by name. Uh, I remember the guy who plays the king um, in the show and like other stuff, but just do not remember the guy's name for the life of me. Here we go. Throwing some Dargans. At least making some Dargans. For dragons get called several different names, Dargans, Scaly Boys, uh, Wine Wizards. Double check something real quick. Okay, yeah, we're good. For a second, I thought I missed a detail. Realized I did not. We have the homeward stretch. I'd like to thank you guys again for spending your Monday with me, keeping it chill, keeping it nice, keeping it civil. That's what I like about you guys. And stuff like that gives me a little bit of extra thing. All right. And we're going to use this thick guy, Micron 10. I want to go over some stuff with extra detail. Reference. Oh, the spiky bits. All right. Last but not least, the hair. Sorry for having to switch out all this stuff. And unfortunately, giving you guys a case of vertigo just for filling this out. Right. And because we're kind of dealing with metallics, little extra details here and there, but for basically section of getting in this really quick. And giving order, also kind of creating a little bit of negative space, basically through. And add the last minute details here and there. Spots that we missed. All right, erase some lines. And we're going to add in little quick white ink stuff. We're not going to be splattering things all over the page today, so we were hoping for that. I hate to break it to you, that is not happening today. We're going to add the detail. Hopefully my pen's working. Seems like it. All right, here it is. All right, last but not least, gotta sign it, because why not? All right, thank you guys so much for staying with me through all this. And it was a lot of fun trying to get back into drawing a character that I don't normally draw ever. But if you happen to like this and want to continue on seeing more of me and everything else that Haven Comics does, be sure to like and subscribe. Every like and every subscribe helps out a lot, which also goes into this. If you happen to want to follow me on social media and catch up with everything that I'm doing as far as stuff that I'm releasing, you want to be able to buy things from me or do commissions or whatever, just go to linktree.com/tpriceartworks. Like I said earlier, I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, and I am also on Twitter. Same username. So you can find me there, and you can also find me over at one of and also the best, if I have to say so, comic book store in Madison, Alabama, at Haven Comics, which is located on Slaughter Road. You can find me there on Fridays and Sundays. So, I'd like to thank you guys again, and I will see you next Monday.